So today's class is a mindfulness class. So the reason I often start standing is, as Sue always points out, it's nice to stretch the body. And in the summer you can start lying, but often people don't like to lie on a cold floor in the middle of winter, and it's very cold today still. So lift and roll the shoulders. And lift the toes and then just place them down again. Breathing in, turn the head to the left. And breathing out, turn the head to the right. In to the left. And out to the right. And then bring the head back to centre. Lift and roll the shoulders again. Place the hands on the waist and just open up the lungs and the upper lymphatic system. And just breathe in and out. And then release the hands down alongside you. And breathing in, raise the right arm up, stretch it up. And turn the head to the left, away from the right arm. And take an in and an out breath here. And then breathing in, come back to the centre. And breathing out, lower the arm. And then with the left side, breathing in, raise the arm up. Breathe out, turn the head to the right. Breathe in and breathe out. When you're ready, bring the head back to the centre and breathing out, lower the left arm. Lift and roll the shoulders. Bring the hands to the heart centre and then slide the arms up, clasp and reverse upwards, stretching up. And breathing out, go to one side, either static or dynamic, which is moving in and out, micro movements. Breathing in, lift up, and breathing out, go to the other side. Try and keep your head sort of between your arms. I noticed that I wasn't. And then breathing in, stretch up. And then breathing out, just circle the wrists down. And then circle the wrists the other way. And then breathing to bring the hands together at the heart centre. If you press the palms together, you're beginning to just activate the muscles in those back wings, those lovely back wings that we have. So that just begins to access that area. And then breathing in, circle the arms up. Palms together. I like to have my thumbs together to secure the arms, but we're all different. And then palms together as you bend the knees. Come with the hands through the centre. Maybe have your feet a little bit further apart. Hands on the shins. Breathing in. Lengthen the spine. Breathe out. Soften in. Breathe in. Lengthen the spine. Stay here as you breathe out. And then breathing in, soften the knees, press the feet into the ground and come up to standing again. Breathing in, raising the arms up, thumbs together, and just very gently sway from side to side. And then come to the centre and just turn slightly to one side, dynamic or static. I like to have a slight dynamic movement in and out. Come to the centre and then just dynamically or statically come to the other side. And then breathing in, come to the centre and breathing out, lower the arms back down alongside you. Lift and roll one shoulder backwards and lift and roll the other shoulder backwards. And then once more come to bringing the hands to the heart centre. Circling the arms up, stretching up, palms together. And then come back down through the centre, bending the knees. Hands once more onto the shins. Breathing in, lengthening along the spine. Breathing out, softening in. Breathing in, lengthening. And stay here as you breathe out. Breathing in, soften the knees, press the feet down, and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Breathing in, stretch the arms up, extend the third fingers and palms face together. And then just circle the wrists down once more. And once they're down, circle them in the opposite direction. Come to raise your right heel and maybe have your right foot out a little bit and just circle your right knee so that your ankle circles as well. But you've got your balance by resting on your toes. And then circle the right knee in the opposite direction. It's a very easy thing to do if you want to get circulation moving into your body. You'll stand, you can do it when you're seated as well, it works very well. And then just release the right foot down onto the ground and then transfer your weight so that you're resting on your right foot, lifting the left ankle, maybe move your left foot to get a better balance. And then just circle the ankle, the knee will circle as well in one direction. And then a circle in the other direction. This movement doesn't need to be confined to yoga or yoga mat, it can be done anywhere. And particularly as if you're standing for a long time. And then the other thing, just bring the left heel down. If you're standing and you think, oh, really fed up with, Phil's back often goes, is just hands on the waist, soften the knees, and just, you can look down, you're just taking the pressure off the lower back. And that's very soothing as well. I mean, if you can rest over a table, fine, but often you can't necessarily do that. And then just breathing in, coming back up again. And you release your hands and lift and roll the shoulders, clasping your hands behind your back, aiming the knuckles to the ground and opening across the collarbone. Lift your hands fractionally. You can have an open hold, weave, but if you want to be very yogic, you can have your hands clasped together and your lift will be less. Turn to the left, come to the centre, and then turn to the right. And then come to the centre, and then just release the hands and lift and roll the shoulders again. And then breathing in, raising the hands up, clasp and reverse, palms upwards. Just once again to one side, centre and to the other side. Centre, just turn to one side, centre and turn to the other side. And centre. Step your feet out a little bit to hip width and wider apart. Bring your hands down, and then when you start, your hands are level with your navel, start to bend your knees, slide your hands down your shins, and then move the hands around as you're clasping your calves. You can have your knees slightly straighter or keep them bent, if there is, and then just lean forward, stretching out the backs of your legs, and actually your back, if your peaks of your bottom are high, and you're straightening your legs, you'll really feel a stretch of the lower back, but feel comfortable, bend your knees if you need to, and just take a breath in and out. And then just very, very gently bring your hands to the floor, bend your knees as much as you need to have your hands on the floor. And just walk your hands slightly forward so that it's a very, very soft downward dog, but you've got no weight on your hands, or on your wrists rather. You're just stretching forward. And then slide your hands back, press your feet into the ground, and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Lift and roll your shoulders, hands together at the heart centre. And we're going to come to lying on the mat in Shavasana. We won't be staying in Shavasana. It's some stretching. So I'm coming down to my knees, and then bottom to the side, and then stretching out. but you come to lie however you want to. So lying down, just let yourself be comfortable. You might like to bend your knees so that you get your bottom positioned correctly on the ground. And as we did when we were standing, extend the right heel and raise the right arm up and behind you. The chin tucks down slightly, so you're stretching out on the right side. And breathing out, let your head turn and roll to the left. Take an in and an out breath here. And when you're ready, bring your head back to the centre. And breathing out, lower your right arm and just relax your right foot and your right bottom. Extend your left heel. Breathing in, raise your left hand up above you, stretching out under the arm. And breathing out, turn your head or let it roll to the right, looking either up or close your eyes, or along the ground, whatever works for you. Stay here for an in and an out breath. And when you're ready, bring your head back to the centre and breathing out, lower your left arm and release and relax your left foot out to the side. Extend both heels, toes go up to the ceiling, and then just point your toes away from you. And just repeat that a couple of times to your own breath pattern. And then begin to circle your ankles in one direction. And try and make the circle smooth, which I think is impossible, because I think we tend to just skid over or slide over little tricky points. And then reverse your feet, your ankles, and circle in the opposite direction. And then just release. And then bend your leave your elbows on the ground and bend your hands so that they're up to the ceiling, and just circle your wrists in one direction and circle your wrists in the opposite direction. Release your hands back down to the ground, palms down, and then bend one knee and then bend the other knee. So both knees are bent, feet are hip width apart. And just start with a couple of pelvic tilts, so flattening the back as if you're going to lift your bottom, and then releasing the back so that there's a little gap under the spine. A couple of times, just going over the lower lumbar vertebra of the spine. And then just bring your feet maybe slightly wider apart and let both knees drop to one side. The opposite hip will lift off the ground. And then bring both knees to upright and let both knees drift over to the other side. And your hip will one hip will lift off the ground. And then start to establish a pattern of just swaying your knees from side to side. And your palms can remain resting palms down on the ground. They can be resting on your abdomen with your elbows out slightly. Or if you want to focus today on your upper lymphatic system, you can bend your elbows and just maybe hold your wrists or just let your arms be above you, stretching out under the arms and just still letting your knees drift from side to side. Or you don't even have to hold your wrist, you can open your arms out above you as well. Just whatever feels comfortable. You're massaging across the top of your bottom. And whether you initiate the movement of the knees from the feet, the knees, or the pelvis is up to you. There's no right or wrong. It's just an awareness of where you personally choose to initiate the movement. I don't think about it, but I think I make my movement by pressing my feet down. So I naturally tend to initiate the movement from my feet. But other people use their knees, and other people use their hips to press down on the pelvis, the hips to move their knees. This is a mindfulness exercise because you're really disconnecting the mind from the stress centers of the brain. It's a feeling, it's a sensory movement, and for that reason it also comes under the banner of somatic movement. And then just bring your knees to the centre. Wherever your hands are, just bring them back to either your abdomen or palms down alongside you. Maybe adjust your feet to be comfortable, and just keeping your knees now static. Let your head slightly roll from side to side. So this is very similar to when we turn our head from side to side when we're standing. But the difference here, of course, is that the head weight is being held by the ground, and your neck, your muscles involved in moving the head aren't being asked to hold the weight of your head up. They're just relaxed. So it's a much more natural neck movement. And then bring the head to the centre. Keep the right foot where it is, but feel that you can make an adjustment and hug the left knee into the chest. Again, you can keep this a static holding in, but if you want to bring some dynamic movement to this, you can either choose to circle the knee a few times in one direction and then the other, and either keep with that, circling in the opposite direction, or you may choose to hug the knee into the chest and let the knee drift away to arm's length, or you might choose a combination, just a freestyle movement on the left hip, mobilizing the leg, the femur in the hip socket, keeping everything fluid and moving. Very relevant because a friend, Janet Sue, her mother fell over yesterday and broken her hip. So it's just a reminder about how important it is to keep moving. I know the accidents happen, and if you can keep everything moving, it's so. And I know it's not as simple as that, Sarah. I know there's all kinds of other issues at stake when people get older, but just chills my heart about people.
Well, it happened to Bad, doesn't it?
It happened to a friend of ours.
Yeah, a few years ago. Yeah.
You know, it's just devastating, and I don't think Bad has recovered her walk properly.
No, she hasn't.
And then drop your hands underneath your left thigh, raise your foot up to the ceiling, and just circle your ankle a couple of times, one way and then the other way. And then just walk your hands up the back of your left leg. You can keep your knee bent. And then just very gently slide your fingers down the back of the left leg. Hug the left knee into the chest and open the left knee to the left, resting the left ankle on top of your right thigh. And your hands here can either rest on the abdomen, palms down, or if you want the underarm stretch, just raise your hands above you. I'm holding my wrists, but whatever works for you. And then just sway both knees from side to side. Chin should be not tucked down, but the back of your neck should be lengthened, so there's no strain in the neck. And you're opening the inner groin now, which is the lower lymphatic system, but you're also opening out in this figure of four, this upside down pigeon, and connecting into that piriformis muscle, joining. I'm no medic person, Sarah, but I think it joins the femur to the hip, and it's very implicated. It's a small muscle in lower back issues. It can get tight. So this is a very simple and safe way of opening that. And then bring your knees to the centre, lower your arms if they were up, hug your left knee into the chest, and place your left foot onto the floor by supporting it with your hands outside of your knee. Just wherever you decide to rest your hands, mine's are palms down at the moment on the floor, just sway your knees from side to side. And then bringing your attention to your right leg, hugging your right knee into your chest. Choose whether you circle your knee in one direction and the other, whether you hug the knee into the chest and let it go away to arm's length, or whether you do a combination of that, just to enjoy the movement at the hip level. So this movement at the hip level is one of the safest and easiest things to keep the hip lubricated, or the joints, the hip socket, with the full rotational movement here. And you're hugging your knee into your chest, so it's helpful for the lower back, and it's moving. Some people give apana energy, which is lower foundational energy. People who've got stiff backs can often slug up in their lower abdominal system, so that addresses that, and again constipation addresses that issue. And then dropping your hands to below your right thigh, just gently extend your right leg up to the ceiling. Your right knee can be bent or soft anyway. And then just walk your hands up the back of your right leg, just gently stretching out the back of the leg. Bring your leg slightly towards your face, but not at the expense of having your chin shoot up to the ceiling. So only go as far as feels comfortable. And then slide your fingers down the back of the right leg as you bend the right knee into the chest. And open the right knee to the right ankle on top of the left thigh. Your hands palms down on the floor, on your abdomen or above you, as you sway the knees from side to side. Your hip will lift off the ground as you sway. If you choose to have your arms stretched out underneath the, you're connecting into your upper lymphatic system here. But people who might have had breast cancer where the operation or lymph nodes removed, then have to be careful because that stretch can sometimes be too much. And so the invitation is always to soften the elbows and not to have the arms above the head, because sometimes scar tissue can linger for years and you will still have that sensation of pulling or tugging at scar tissue. So there's always an option. And then very, very gently hugging the right knee once more into the chest and supporting the right leg as your hands as you put your right foot onto the ground, swaying your knees from side to side. And we're going to come off our backs, and however you want to do this, roll to the side, come onto our hands and knees for some gentle cat-cow. So take your time, because we've been on the ground for a little while. Classic, hands are shoulder height width apart, knees are hip width apart. Just classic dip in the back, looking either up or along that, and rounding chin to chest. So in classic yoga, you would always have your toes tucked under. Then they changed it and the toes were flat. And sometimes you can have a combination of tucking your toes as you bend, dip your back, and then flatten your toes as you're rounding. So the choice is yours. Anytime you tuck your toes underneath, you're stabilising your spine. But some people don't like the sensation of the tucked toes. And then just come to a neutral back, maybe have your feet flat. Have your knees now slightly wider apart, big toes are sort of aimed towards each other. And just bring your bottom towards your heels. If your knees are dodgy, then keep your bottom up. But this version of child, we're going to make fists with our hands and rest the forehead on the fists. How much you bring your bottom back to your heels is up to you. Your heart is parallel to the ground, so it's a very restful position. Taking it in and an out breath. And then move your right hand across you and stretch out your left hand. Again, you could choose whether your bottom's up or more down. And there's often a sweet spot where your bottom's half up and half down and you're stretching out on the left side. Quarter dog.
And then slide the left hand back, bring the left hand across the body and extend the right hand in front of you, quarter dog on the right side. And again, your bottom might come half up, or as you bring it back towards your heels, you'll get that stretch on the right side. Taking in and out breath. And then bring your elbows in front of you. Make a prayer with your hands. Move your elbows to adjust and just have your hands meeting above your skull. Your head won't come to the ground, but it's just what it might do. Just stretching under the arms, stretching that back wing area. And then just very, very gently bring the hands to the ground. We're going to come up to standing, but I do understand if you don't want to come via downward dog. So bring your knees in. I'm going to include downward dog by tapping the toes as an option, but I know Sue's not a downward dog fan. So bending the knees, stretching up, or coming to stand, however works for you. If you're in downward dog, then bend one knee, extend one heel, and then bend the other knee, extend the other heel, walking the dog. And then walk your feet to your hands to your feet. And when you feel that you've got complete stability, soften, bend your knees. You can use your hands to assist you to roll up one vertebra at a time. Lift and roll your shoulders when you're up. And come to raise both arms. And we'll take a balance, clasp and reverse hands, and then just lift the heels. So coming back to the mindfulness, it's hard to balance, as you can see I'm failing spectacularly, and talk or think of anything else at the same time. And then lower the heels and lower the hands back down to shoulder height. Turn to look beyond the fingers of one hand. Come to the centre. Turn to look beyond the fingers of the other hand. Come to the centre. And then just turn the palms up and almost over. Turn the palms down and release the palms back down alongside you. Lift and roll one shoulder, and then lift and roll the other shoulder. And once more as you breathe in, turn the head to the left. Come to the centre and turn the head to the right. And come to the centre. And lift and roll the shoulders. So, just step your right foot fractionally in front of you, your left foot goes out 45 degrees, and make a gentle fist with your right hand, your thumb is proud. And this becomes a mindfulness exercise again. Feel free to have your feet wider apart if you need to. Start by circling your right hand forward and track your movement of your thumb with your eyes. So your eyes will circle, watching your thumb. It becomes tricky when you look behind you. So again, you're supposed not to turn back so much or twist your hips. I find that almost impossible. You're supposed to keep your hips facing forward as much as possible and let the turn happen in the rest of your body. It becomes a neck, eye and mindfulness exercise. But then reverse the circle so that your thumb goes backwards, lifting the eyes up to the top of the eyebrows, the centre of the head, and disconnects the eyes from stress centres of the brain. And the various eye movements can alter your brain wave patterns to calming them down. And then just very gently release the right arm, lift and roll the right shoulders, step the right foot back. And then when you're ready, do the same with the left. Just step your left foot forward, right out. If you want a big step forward, that's fine too, but the focus of this pose is the eyes. Make a fist with your left hand and just very gently circle your left arm forwards, looking and tracking with your eyes the movement of the thumb. You're coming forward first in this tradition so that
We finish by setting the shoulders, by rolling them back so that they're set in the correct position, and then reverse that movement so that you're going back. Very hard to do any damage when you're going very slowly and mindfully. You're lifting your chin with control, there's no flinging of the head back. And then just reset, just release that movement, lift and roll the left shoulder and step the left foot back. And then just a very gentle, you might want your feet slightly wide, hip width apart, just swaying from side to side. It can be a gentle sway, or you can make it more exaggerated by going up to the shoulders. Whatever you feel like doing is absolutely fine. Again, if you're in a supermarket queue or queuing anywhere, this is quite good to do, just a gentle one.
Probably clear the shop, you'd be
Yes.
first in the queue.
You won't remember this in Spain with you at the airport. When I was going through my panic attack,
Yeah.
I was doing this, it was hot, it was
I
crowded,
think I might have.
and I remember thinking if I lie on the
Was that when
floor,
we all walked off and left you?
if I lie on the floor, the security will clear me, I'm not going to get on the flight. But I was having a claustrophobic panic moment, I was kind of doing this, and yeah, magically people do disappear, they just made space, this crazy English woman. And then just very gently come to standstill, lift and roll the shoulders. And then hands together, come to seated with the legs out in front of you. So another trick is to imagine yourself in a green pyramid or a mauve pyramid, so that as you're moving, there's a gap between you and everybody else. And I've done that at an airport, and magically people have moved away from me. So whether it's my mental approach, people just bump into all the time, it's hot and crowded. I thought I've got to do like a Harry Potter cloak that you put around you. I don't know why it worked, but it seemed to work. So legs out in front, flesh out from under the bottom, just bounce your legs. And then either rub them or pat them or do whatever, like your dry skin brushing, boosting the circulation. You can go to the tops of your feet, you can rub your arms, you can tap anywhere on your body, whatever works for you. My uncle was attached to the Criminal Investigation Bureau, and he had one that used to, all the weird people and awful people he dealt with, there was one harmless old bloke who used to love looking at policemen because they had shiny, uniform policemen had shiny trousers. And he used to love it so much that, rubbing the shine, he used to start rubbing his legs like that and get arrested every time. They used to sit in the reception and kept getting rearrested because he had some fetish about uniform policeman's trousers, which
Maybe it wasn't just the trousers.
well, no, I don't know what it was, but it just always reminds me of that. And then just legs out to the side. If you extend your heels, you'll feel the inner legs. You're supposed to feel both legs, inner and outer, but you'll particularly feel the inner thigh, the inner parts of the legs activate, and that part often doesn't activate, particularly in women. And then just touch your hands to either side of you to lift you up, lifting at the chest. And that's uplifting. When we're miserable and depressed, we come forward. That just creates space. And then just slide your hands down your legs. Depending on your arm length, nothing more. You might stop at your shins, or you might slide down to, if you've got long arms, hold your big toes with your second and third fingers, thumb on the top. Hold wherever you want to. If you want to hold the outside of your feet, that's fine. For people with back issues, a caution on a forward bend. What you need to do is to lengthen the body and always lift up over so that your back is very safely coming down. And you can achieve that, if you are particularly worried about your lower back, by having a bolster on you,
or a pillow, so that it lifts you up over and lengthens you on the lower spine before you come forward. It's a very small point, but for some reason coming forward when you're sitting rather, can be troublesome for certain back conditions. But calming for the nervous system when you come forward. So uplifting for the mood when you lift your chest, but calming for anxiety in the nervous system when you come forward. So just take a couple of breaths. If you're being very yogic, you'd extend your heels, but I understand it's easy just to relax the feet, so whatever works. Taking an in and an out breath. And then sliding the hands up, lifting yourself up, coming to a cross-legged position. Hopefully you can manage that now as we've stretched everything out. Just place your hands on your knees and just a couple of cat-cows, seated cat-cows, breathing in, lifting the chest, maybe looking up, maybe lifting the chin, breathing out, chin to chest. And just a couple of times breathing in, lengthening the body, and breathing out, chin to chest. Again, if you're stuck anywhere and you're able to be seated, this is a very helpful, calming, and also back movement. So we gently warm the spine up. And then come to sitting upright. Come to bring both hands to either body of the hand in front of your face, thumb behind your ears. So this is the opening sequence for Reiki, but it's found in the somatic movement. So again, sensory. You're starting to feel the hands on your head. And that feeling makes it part of the somatic movement. So the sensory aspect is supposed to take away the brain thinking too much. And then take one hand at the occiput at the back base of the head, and one hand on the forehead. And in order to benefit from this, you might want to drop your chin to your chest so that you're not scrunching the back of your neck up. Just again, press your hands into your forehead and press your hands into the base of the head, the occiput, so that there is a connection of sensory feeling there. Again, with this hand pressure, it's difficult to have stress outs in the brain. Every part of your head is mapped in Ayurveda, well, in Chinese medicine too, but every little point and dent and part relates to part of the body. So this is just a very good way of connecting into the brain. And then keep the hand on the forehead, lifting up your head slightly, and dropping the other hand from the back of the head to the heart centre. So again, imagine between the heart centre and the forehead that there's a straight line. There's a piece of ribbon or a line, it's not crumpled. So again, you're lifting up at the heart, which is antidepressing, for uplifting for the mood. In yoga therapy, for mood enhancement, they invite you to have a very supportive lying on the ground with lots of cushions and bolsters so that you're slightly lifted under the chest to lift you. And then keep your hand at the heart and drop the hand on the forehead to your tummy, your navel, and again lift up the chest so that the imaginary line or ribbon between your chest, your heart and your tummy, your navel is not crumpled. We're giving space here to the abdominal organs. Gravity naturally slumps us forward, so this is just a chance to unravel that. And then either stay here with one hand on the navel, one hand on the heart, or if you want to finish by both hands on the heart, then bring the hand and the navel to the heart as well. Doesn't matter which is on top. Bring your chin to the chest. And while you're here, just have a thought for the day. It can be for you, it can be for a family member, it can be for a situation in the world, it can be anything that you want to wish or set your intention, send it out to you or the world or whoever, and have that thought a couple of times.
your sankalpa, your wish, often a very simple wish. And then just let that go, the intention's been set. And then just take a moment to wrap your aura with positive energy. So there are many ways to do this. You can imagine yourself being wrapped like an Orlick egg. You can imagine yourself hiding behind a wall where arrows and negativity doesn't come through, you're protected. There is the invisible cloak that we found in Harry Potter. In psychic terms, they often translate that to a pyramid. You're surrounded by a transparent pyramid with green light or mauve light, whatever works for you. And then just let that image drop. You're protected for the day ahead. Only positive, lovely things can come in. And then take a bow for yourself. Say thank you for joining me today. And I will